Spotless. Efficient. Safe. Protected. Controlled. This is Singapore, a futuristic city-state emerging as a hotbed for blockchain and crypto innovation. It's home to one of Asia's most vibrant crypto ecosystems, although for most people, Singapore's better known for its strict laws. You see, importing or selling chewing gum is illegal here, with fines up to $200,000. And you could be jailed for up to 3 years for simply connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi. Oh, and capital punishment is a part of reality here. But there's more, because Singapore's multicultural society, a growing, diversified economy, and ease of doing business make it a magnet for capital from around the world. Singapore is also a food lover's paradise with a mix of Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Western cuisines. Together, these factors have made this tiny island the most livable location for expats in Asia. So why are we here? Strategically located at the crossroads of international trade, Singapore's low taxes and open economy have been attracting both TradFi giants and early-stage startups for years now. But fast forward to 2023 and the plot thickens. Because Singapore, described by some as a Disneyland with the death penalty, now hosts Asia's largest Web3 event, Token 2049. So in this video, we're on the ground at Marina Bay Sands Convention Center, exploring Singapore's financial allure through interviews with key figures in the space. And we're trying to get to the bottom of one major question. Why is this centralized authoritarian regime helping promote the decentralized and permissive ethos of crypto? So we're here at Token 2049. First impressions are, it's Asia's biggest crypto conference and a huge amount of money has been poured into it. There's a bunch of companies that we've never heard of, presumably early stage startups. And one interesting tactic is that we've seen a lot of pretty women with very flashy, glittery dresses, assuming that's to do with grabbing attention. Let's go find out what else is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of 90% of these projects. Like, it's crazy. I always joke that 90% of projects are kind of scams. Infrastructure, obviously, here in Singapore, the scale and money flowing in, it feels like something different.
Singapore isn't just an impressive city-state with the world's best airport. It's a financial powerhouse that tops the global crypto adoption index above Switzerland, the US, and the UK. It also has the highest home ownership rate, and 1 in every 6 people in Singapore have assets worth over $1 million US. So it's perhaps no coincidence that Token 2049 chose Singapore. But why 2049?
The year 2049 is like when Bitcoin hits like $100 million per coin or something, right?
I mean, haven't you seen Blade Runner 2049? It's just far enough in the future that we can grasp it, but far enough away in the future where we could be optimistic.
Blade Runner 2049 is my understanding. At least I don't know if there's more lore to it, but that's all I know about it.
It's sort of like Space Odyssey 2001, like a prediction for the future. But let's hope we get there by 2049.
I don't know why it's called Token 2049. I wonder if it has to do with where they project the space will be in 26 years, I guess, by now. I guess it's forward-facing. That would be my idea, is what are we going to be looking at within this space in the future, trying to work towards that.
We should consider what's happening in crypto and Web3 in adoption in 2049. But I don't know the reason.
We've touched on why Singapore is a magnet for businesses and startups. Now, let's hear from the founders, the builders, and the entrepreneurs in the space to get their take on what exactly brings everyone here to Token 2049.
I am at Token 2049 because we are coming out of the crypto winter. It's fun to meet the builders. The portfolio of companies here is incredible. The energy is incredible. Glad to be here as part of it.
Conferences in America are kind of starting to diminish, and it's cool to see a conference be revitalized in the Asia market.
It's a good conference. It's very institutional, which is slightly different to some of the other conferences, but it's probably one of the best in Asia.
We are in Singapore because the Asian culture is in some ways less confused than the Western culture. Some element of having liking gambling, liking speculation, liking to try new things. This is very characteristics of the Asian people.
The event, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the largest, if not the largest, Web3 conferences in the world. So kind of an obvious reason to be here.
I've been to a conference in Dubai, in Paris, and I thought they were big and, sort of unmanageable for a single person. But this is a whole new level. And somebody was saying that you would never think that this is a bear market conference. Likewise, because I have seen so many new projects that I, want to learn more about, but 2 days is just not enough. It's just too big of a conference to fit everything in 2 days.
Everybody's here, it's too busy as we're all noticing, and it's a combination of so many events, right? So you have healthcare events taking place this week, you have the Token 2049, all the crypto community here, but you also have the Milken Institute having their event here. So you got the whole TradFi industry coming together. You got the Forbes 100 having their event here as well. So a whole bunch of different business opportunities colliding around a Formula One event on the weekend. And guess who the biggest sponsors are of all these Formula One events? It's the crypto companies.
If you're enjoying this type of content, please subscribe to the Defiant now. Asia's largest crypto conference is naturally a melting pot of narratives shaping the future of crypto. So what are the key themes dominating the discussion this year?
Of course, the layer 2 and ZK is big. The second is the modular. The narrative is big. And now we also see emerging trending where AI and blockchain work together to improve the decentralization part of the like machine learning and data training and ownership of users' privacy data, so which is very exciting.
So I guess, ZK rollups in general, layer 2s, machine learning more than, what people call it AI, machine learning more than I've seen previously. Suddenly that's one of the things we're interested in.
A lot of the cool developments I've seen in this conference are like in the ZK space. It's a lot of privacy-based solutions, infrastructure that's going to help retail understand and use crypto better. So I think it's more focused on like how can we make crypto easier for users.
Regulatory, not surprisingly. The other one, I think maybe stablecoin and maybe specifically stablecoin regulation will be a key issue, I think, coming out of this.
Well, it's about more than regulation. So regulation's important, and we heard a lot of really important people talk about the need for sensible and purpose-built regulation in all the countries in the world. But we also talked about interoperability and what it means today. We talked about how DeFi can actually succeed in a tough macro environment with high interest rates. We talked about what NFTs could be beyond simply PFPs and a heck of a lot more. No, Token 2049 was a conference where they were covering the true state of today, how tough things are. It is, after all, a flat market, but also about where things are going.
Yeah, from my understanding, it's more like BD institutional focused. It's also kind of why Uniswap is here. Uniswap X, is in beta right now, and a lot of market makers are involved there.
Yeah, institutional adoption always is kind of a key thing that everyone's always talking about. That's been really, really slow up to this point. It's still slow. I think they've even taken a step back, but when you got innovative things happening on all fronts. I mean, GameFi, so many people are excited about that. Even though that's not really my sector, I think it's only logical. It's going to help drive the adoption moving forward into the whole industry.
RWAs are going to be something pretty big. I actually pretty interested, for example, in what MakerDAO has done with SDAI.
I mean, already you're seeing real world assets. So people are seeing, and it's not really take this building and tokenize it. It's find out what is the square foot price of real estate in Singapore and create a token associated with that. So you have a synthetic asset to the price of a square foot in Singapore, for example. And I think you're seeing more assets like that. The tokenization of carbon credits, the tokenization of green bonds, tokenization of T-bills. Why? Because people have crypto, I can keep it in a stable coin, and I can invest in a token that is tied to the US dollar and still pays out 5% interest. So attractive products like that, those are really defining and breaking the ground for real world assets.
Right now, this year, I hear a lot of energy and talks about RWAs, and so I'm quite interested about that. We're seeing a lot of governments around the world, different regional localities, looking at how they can integrate blockchains within their proof of concepts. And I think that that's really interesting because it's an obvious entry point. That's one gateway that I see very good. The other one is on the GameFi front, more specifically on how games are approaching abstracting away blockchain from their games. What we're seeing in terms of very successful games is that they've abstracted it away so well that the users typically don't even know they're on blockchain. And so the barrier to entry extremely low, and I'm looking for those applications that are focused on that. There are a couple that are here.
I also think like gaming, like I think we're not that far from hitting one of those big blockbuster games. I'm seeing it get better. Like it's kind of been a bit of a meme, but it still remains one of the strongest retail verticals to get retail into crypto. So I think we're going to see some stuff develop on that side too.
A key point was decentralization will take place, and there may be certain protocols or project that's doing very well, and it could seem like we are converging towards a centralization process, but we will eventually see competitors to come and nullify the effect, compete, and decentralized will take place again. If I may put it very bluntly, sometimes you need centralization to go more decentralization.
Singapore has emerged as one of the leading crypto hubs around the world. But what are the key factors that contributed to this? And is that changing, or will this tiny island nation maintain its position?
Clarity of regulation. The fact that the MAS has been a leader and progressive and identified, here are the rules of the road. Most people want to follow the rules of the road, but we don't know what they are in some jurisdictions. So it's good to be here.
Singapore is crypto friendly, and I think the distance between entrepreneur and regulator are really close. Regulator comes to the event and talk and meet people. This is not like a bottom-up approach. In Japan and other country, probably it's a top-down approach. The approach is really different.
I mean, have you looked around? We're living in the future here. Here in Singapore, we've got not only skyscrapers, but greenery. We've got kind of perfect pathways, almost no traffic, payment systems that actually work. It's pretty remarkable. And it's crypto friendly. Singapore has been crypto friendly for years now. And so some of the most well-known companies in the entire industry were started here and have grown here.
If you are regulated in the space of, for example, like Singapore, more and more mass adoption will happen, and that is good for everyone. We want people to come in to use blockchain. We also want people to understand blockchain, but without clearer rules to define it, sometimes it's hard for people to come in because they don't feel protected.
So I think, when I've read about Singapore, I think it's pretty much the premier crypto hub in Asia, maybe even in the world. I think it has really fantastic market penetration in terms of being able to get people to come here from all of Asia. Lots of people left China, left Hong Kong, left Indonesia and those kind of places, and Korea, of course, and came to Singapore to set up their businesses. I think, like we're seeing in Dubai now, the authorities here have a sensible regulatory policy. They're quite, they take a fast view in terms of being able to execute, and that's very useful for being able to set up a business with some level of certainty.
I think the appetite for risk, the appetite for trying new stuff is here, and it's never ceases to surprise me how much passion they have to gamble, to experiment, to try new things, and just to maybe be lucky.
I think what makes it so attractive is that it's very friendly to digital innovation as a whole. And I think from the regulatory standpoint, not to say that there is no regulation in Singapore, but I think it's very reasonable and understandable. Like the reasoning behind it and logic behind it can be understood. It's not sort of like it's crypto, so no. I would say it's very friendly to innovation, digital innovation, and crypto being just part of like the wider movement. So many projects that are based in Singapore and thriving. So
beyond the impressive Singaporean skyline, many countries and cities are competing to become crypto hubs. The question is, what factors are the founders, the builders, and the investors looking for? And which locations should we keep an eye on?
So Hong Kong, Japan, and South Korea alongside Singapore. So those are really the four main spots. Hong Kong, now that it's opened up in early June, we're seeing a really big push, top-down, very coordinated approach to being facilitating to Web3 applications, Web3 developers and such in a very tangible, real way. So there are already subsidies being deployed.
Hong Kong has been doing very well. Dubai has been doing very well. Even Japan and Korea is up and coming. So definitely that's of interest if you are looking at potentially where they can grow. Asia is a fast growth. Europe as well, because now they have MiCA. which is a set of rules, regulation that governs digital assets, is taking place.
Besides Singapore, I can name Hong Kong as the other one. Although the mainland China is closed, but the Chinese government tried to use Hong Kong as a trial field for that. So hopefully China could be more open in the future. Also, Dubai is also a very crypto-friendly city.
I'd certainly say the GCC has emerged as a crypto hub and probably will get stronger from there. I suspect Singapore will remain the preeminent in Asia.
Well, everybody's talking about Dubai, right? And Dubai's only another 6-hour flight from Singapore, so it's pretty close. The time zone's pretty equal. Also very tax-friendly, jurisdictionally also very friendly from a government perspective. That's seeming to be booming as well. The engineering talent is in India, so also very close to Dubai. So I think that is proving to be an attractive hub. Korea, lots of innovation in Korea. A real hungry, crypto-savvy, digital environment, right? Great people there. So super exciting to see that market blossom despite Korean, Terra Luna being Korean and blowing up. That market, a year later, it's forgotten all about it. It's moved on. It's trying to make the next $1 billion, right? And how do they find the next big company over there? So I think you're seeing a big hub there. So Asia seems to be grabbing a lot of awareness, mind share. But you're also seeing adoption in countries like Turkey. Amazing adoption over there. And the next billion users are going to come from those markets. They're not going to come from saturated legacy infrastructure, protected, regulated, limiting innovation, trying to force it into the own wheels. It's not going to come from those markets. It's going to come from markets where it's unstable, where the opportunities are there, where regulation is light, where opportunities can just flourish and speed of innovation can trump legacy and protection and limitations.
There is something about younger countries. They don't have all the old people saying, no, you cannot do that, no. So they are faster. It's a little bit like Startup Nation, right? They are faster to move. And if you look at China or those places where the tradition and the older people with their tradition is really being conservative about everything, unique culture of these early places which are growing so fast and so successfully. I think it's a remarkable story. Remarkable story.
If Token 2049 has taught us anything, it's that the crypto landscape is ripe for new trends and projects. So what emerging narratives should we be tuned into as we look towards the end of the year and onwards into 2024?
I think infrastructure is getting mature and mature, not enough. We have a lot of the layer 2, the transaction cost is getting cheaper and cheaper, the technology is getting more reliable. So what's coming next? We need to create something meaningful, something like killer use case, actually user use. So for the general people, they don't care about the infrastructure, which blockchain to use. People use product just because it's usable. In the future, I would like to see who is making the application rather than infrastructure for the users.
One emerging trend I observed from this Singapore and also from the previous conference is the decentralization of the layer 2 infrastructure. So layer 2, like ETH layer 2 or other layer 1s, layer 2, they help the layer 1 to scale very fast, but now people start to realize that layer 2 infrastructure is too centralized. So we see different people and different teams take different route to solve the scaling problem of blockchains. But maybe one day they will all merged into an ultimate form, which will be super similar to each other.
I'm excited about apps that use crypto or blockchain, but abstract it. So friend tech is social, fi, if you want to call it. But it's really just a fun experiment, I would say.
We really need to find those catalyzers that will bring us new users. I believe, for example, friend tech with just exploring social value, bringing different type of value will work. And again, RWAs or new primitives that will basically, I believe, that will power all these derivatives. That is probably where DeFi, in my perspective, is can actually grow.
Driving real-world assets onto the blockchain, or from Web 2 to Web 3, or merging into a happy 2.5 of sorts. Whether it's tokenizing gold, assets, or art or music or whatnot.
I think RWAs are really going to help. We saw a lot of institutional investors come in the last bull run. And so they've deployed capital. They've started building essentially the back-end rails to be able to integrate their traditional financial products into the blockchain.
There's an educational gap that needs to be taken care of. Where it's like non-custodial, non-KYC, I've become very aware that they're sort of thrown out. And it seems like everybody understands it, but not really.
Next bull run, what we're going to have is applications that people genuinely stick to and don't have like a incentivized reason to off-ramp off like we saw last bull run. That'll be the major difference, I think, going forward. And eventually, I hope crypto can get to a place where we don't have these boom and bust cycles. It's more like a traditional market in the sense that, the overall trajectory is up and you have less of these like downturns because like users are staying in crypto and using it once applications get to the place where they can actually facilitate all those users.
Well, I think there's a lot. I wouldn't really put one thing, but there's a lot of things happening in the L2 front. So I think that's kind of the natural thing. I mean, there's so many fragmented chains out there and so many fragmented communities. But I think, Ethereum ultimately is the ultimate winner from all looks of it. So everyone kind of building on and around it to continue to scale the network. I think it seems like the logical winner.
It's been an eventful 2 days in Singapore, to say the least. And we've experienced everything Asia's premier crypto conference has to offer. From interviews and main stage talks with key figures in the space to interacting with the colorful expo booths, Token 2049 was a well-curated eye-opener. Now, from the safety of Changi Airport, it's safe to say we're walking away with a significant amount of insight into this magnificent city as a technology and innovation hub, the industry's future in Asia and beyond, and perhaps most importantly, the key narratives that can really shape the future of crypto. Asia is leading the way in crypto adoption with most of the world's crypto holders, whales, and trade volumes. But what exactly did we learn about Singapore in Token 2049? Well, for starters, Singapore's appeal to crypto startups is clear. The affluent innovation hub has pro-business policies and clear regulations which attract both TradFi and crypto for the same reasons. Even in the depths of this bear market, we discovered plenty of new projects at the conference. Secondly, Singapore balances its socially strict laws and rules with financial pragmatism. This duality, they argue, has stabilized the nation and transformed it from a village to a skyline in just a few decades. Although talking to locals outside the conference revealed this approach to foreign investment is both effective as it is polarizing. Lastly, we have regulatory clarity. Singapore has doubled down on its sound legal framework, especially since the collapse of Luna. While this has been well received by the crypto community, we still need to pay close attention to the new head of state's crypto skepticism, especially as places like Hong Kong and Dubai enter the race to become crypto hubs. So, where do you see the next big crypto hub emerging, and which narratives do you think will drive the next bull market? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, stay defiant.